review on the trial of Adolf Hitler, the Beer Hall Putsch and the Rise of Nazi Germany by David King. So of course, for my other book review, we left off on the Beer Hall Putsch. From there, then of course, after the Beer Hall Putsch, Hitler is on trial. Okay, this book is interesting. Oh, by the way, this is a quick review. I'm doing it in one take. I was in a rush. I was on my morning, morning routine, and I had to make a stop. So I stopped in here, just knock out this book review, and I got about 40 book reviews that I have to do. But I've just been busy, just super busy with life. So anyway, one take. So it's gonna be a bunch of mistakes in this one. I'm not editing it. I'm done with the editing and trying to, find someone to edit and do all that. I'm just going hard. I'm just going raw. I might as well just be going live, really. Basically, is what it is. But anyway, but the trial of Adolf Hitler. So what happens? Of course, the Beer Hall Putsch. He already tried to attempt, with the Putsch that failed. So now he's on trial. Now, the interesting thing that David King did in this book is he brought you into Nazi Germany. He brought you into Germany because the Nazis, of course, is a Nazi party. But before the Nazi party took over. But anyway, so he brought you into Germany. The way he told the story, you could feel that you were there in Germany in 1923 and 24, 25. Which is where the years that this book took place and the events that he wrote about in the book. But so Hitler's on trial. He basically defends himself. He has lawyers, but he did a lot of the talking as well. And he drew the people in. And a big history point is that, because actually when I spoke about this book to people, I'm like, yeah, one of the books that I'm reading or I've read was the book on the trial of Adolf Hitler, and someone, and the thought was a lot of people didn't know that he actually went to jail, and I get that a lot. I get that, and I'm like, well, and it's not that far fetched because I up until like a year ago I learned that Hitler had went to jail, and then from there you're like, well, wait a minute, he went to jail. When did he go to jail? I thought that, World War II, he tried to take over, it didn't work, and that was the end of it, but it's a backstory. So, and when you find out that he went to jail, then you find out, well, why did he go to jail? Then you find out about the beer putsch, and then what happened, and how did he go to jail, come out of jail, and then end up running and taking over the country, and that's very interesting. And this book, in my opinion, or any book, well, I would say you have to cover Hitler's trial. Now, in Hitler's trial, it goes over how he actually, because he was looked at as a political prisoner, but actually a criminal as well. But because he was so connected with the generals and people of stature at the time, they had a hard time in trying to figure out what to do with him. And he was an Austrian citizen. He had dual citizenship, Austria and Germany. But he was actually able to just go with his German citizenship, and he denounced his Austrian citizenship later. But during the trial, it went over during the trial of Adolf Hitler. It talked about in David King's book what Hitler was doing in jail, how the guards treated him, how the inmates treated him, how many people came to visit him, the kind of sympathy and love, support he got, the people that didn't like him, that were trying to go at him, that were trying to stop him, because it was people that were trying to stop him here, and it was other people that felt like Germany needed him. And the key point of this is that what keeps coming out is what was going on in Germany at the time. Why did the people back Hitler's Nazi party? Why did they back him? Because the country was doing really bad at that time. The country was doing really bad at that time, to the point to where they were still paying reparations for World War I. They just actually, still a few years into paying reparations to other countries, France and other countries. Their currency was just the inflation on everything was going on. They had to switch currencies twice. They were in bad shape, and then but another thing that happened during his trial too was the judge, in some ways, wasn't really a Hitler fan. He was more so a fan of Germany's independence from what they were going through at the time, as far as the reparations and how other countries was coming in and kind of taking over. And he was a fan of the generals that Hitler was linked up with, you know, that went along with him. Well, one of them in particular that went along with him with the Putsch. So that made it kind of difficult. And that's one of the reasons why Hitler was able to get off. But during Hitler's trial, he gave so many good speeches. He drew people in. He would come in the courtroom, kiss the women, you know, hands, and really put on a show. And then on top of that, the papers started to pick it up. And then when the papers started to pick it up, and at that time, you know, everything was newspapers for the most part. Later on, they adapted, you know, that little German radio that they had, but they had radios then, but there was these other little radios that they used, the Nazi Party used later. But anyway, but yeah, everything was newspapers. And so the newspapers are writing about him, and they're writing about him worldwide. So he picks up the sympathy and everything. And then I think he, you know, during that time period, you know, he got so many letters and gifts and everything while he's in jail. He got out, and immediately he went back to building the Nazi Party. And then I'll go into that in the next book, what happens when he comes out of jail. What else? Oh, and then they went into like how he gave different takes on how the German people were feeling. Regular citizens, women, children, everything. He gave how the country was feeling from the people's perspective in it, and why they wanted someone like Hitler to come along, because the government wasn't doing what the people wanted them to do. The people wanted to do one thing. They know they needed something, but the government wasn't doing it. So now all of a sudden you have this very well-spoken, and they say Hitler was self-taught. You know, during the court, he mentioned that David King mentioned that the things that he was saying, you could tell he was self-taught. Meaning, when they say self-taught, like he was educated by himself, but it wasn't like proper grammar. It wasn't at the time whatever the proper German grammar was at the time, how someone should speak. It wasn't like that. But you can tell he was educated. He knew things, but it wasn't crisp and clean. And anytime you have that, a lot of times that actually helps you with the people that you're talking to, because you sound like a regular person. You don't sound like somebody that's been off in college for 8, 12 years, and then you're trying to come back and talk to people that's been living real life. A lot of times it doesn't work. So anyway, and at that time, people needed answers. They needed something to happen. So, but with the trial of Hitler, it showed a lot of where Germany was at the time. It showed a lot of what Hitler, where he was going with it, and also why he was in jail. He actually wrote another book, and I think that's the next book I'm going to do on this series of World War I and II and with Germany. Is he wrote Mein Kampf in it. And when he wrote Mein Kampf, while he was in there, he also had revealed that he learned that the Putsch was actually the wrong way to go. He learned that he actually needed to go and do political, get inside the government, and then from there he'll take it over. But he learned that when he was in jail. He came to that conclusion through different readings, studying, talking with people, and reflecting. So that's what he did. And like I said, I'm way ahead of this book. I'm about, I don't know, 5 books. I'm trying not to mention what happened in the other books, but I'm ahead. There's a few other books I have, like mine called Night of the Long Knives, and it's a whole lot of stuff books that I'm trying not to mix in with this one, but because it's easy to do. But yeah, but with this one gives you the missing piece that Hitler did go to jail. He tried to take over the government, failed, went to jail, came back, and then took it over again. So it's a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? You got to look at historically, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times if somebody looked at it as a political prisoner, you know what I'm saying, they still have a shot at still becoming chancellor in his case, you know, or president in other cases, you know, whereas you can still be in government and still run or take over a country. So that's something that all right, not to get too political, but that's the thing with like even today's time. What I always felt like with Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, that they keep trying to, they think the answer is to try to put everyone in jail what happened on July the 6th at the Capitol. They keep trying to, I'm sorry, I say July, see, I told you this, this is January the 6th, January the 6th, that what happened on the Capitol, and they keep trying to put them all in jail. But if you put them in jail, they're looked at as political prisoners. Even if you try to, you know, put whoever, you know what I'm saying, in jail based on that, they're going to be looked at as political, and they can always come back, because just because you went to jail don't mean that you can't be president or senator or whatever. It's nothing that says you can't have a criminal record, and you can't vote, but you still can be president. You can't vote, but you still can be senator. You can't vote, but you still can be a house, you know, representative of the House. So, anyway, but I just see a lot of similarities. Not to say that, you know, one is the other, but it's just when you start reading things and start seeing how things are and the connection and why the generals were important in the military and the you know, the news and all that, and how things play out and how the news will push something, and sometimes they think they're hurting something by pushing it, but you actually are garnering support, because you start the sympathy starts to build for that person that you're tearing down, because that person that the news may be tearing down is somebody that's very similar to a normal person. So then it looks like the news is picking on somebody that is normal and more like you than what the people that are on the news want you to, you know, be or portray as, you know, but anyway, I'll go deeper into that. I don't want to steer too far off of it, but off of his book here, but it's a lot of similarities that's going on. But if you want to get that one of the missing links in it is certain things that they never cover in history, and one of them, for a reason, is Adolf Hitler's trial, because it points out how Germany was. It wasn't just Hitler. It wasn't just the Nazi Party. It was and how they came to power and what happened. Why did they start blaming the Jews for things? Why did they go against these other countries? Why did they start the war? Because actually, you know, Germany lost a lot of their country after World War I. They immediately took their military. They immediately took different parts of the land around them. So they actually went back, and started taking their own land back. And then it just spiraled from there. But it was more so when Hitler came in, they were taking their own stuff back. And then World War II. And it's not to give any type of, I'm not a Hitler sympathist or supporter or anything like that. I'm just telling the story, you know what I'm saying, as it is. And it's just weird when you hear the story told one way, then you read something or you do your own research and you be like, well, wait a minute, no, this isn't told, and this is one of the things. So it's like, how in the world did Hitler try to take over, go to prison, become this big hero, you know, from it, and then end up taking over the country? And it says it here, and he couldn't have done it by himself. There was other people that wanted that, you know what I'm saying, in Germany at the time. So, and like even now, you know, it's like even in today's time, if you look at history, and it's not, you know, exactly going to be the same, obviously, because you're dealing with a different time, different people, but you can see different similarities with the governments and different similarities with the way that they do things, with the media, judges, court, and all of that, and who they victimize and who they uplift. So, and but that's all I want to say. But yeah, David King did a very good job. It's not a very long book. It was how many pages is this? I don't know, 370. What is this? 380? No, still notes. I don't know, about 360 something. Yeah, okay, all these notes too. All right, so anyway, about 370 pages, somewhere in there, give or take a page. There you go. So the trial of Adolf Hitler, the beer hall putsch, and the rise of Nazi Germany. So that is the rise of the Nazi Germany party. So that is it. But that's just one of the missing pieces, and I got some more coming that's going to help give a full picture of it. And we all know that the victors of a conflict or war always tell the story. So because Hitler and the Nazi Germany party lost, that story doesn't come out. You know, it doesn't. You don't hear that side. And again, I'm not for any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying, that they did, because some people get this kind of confused. I'm not, but at the same time, you can see what happened. Because what you want to know is what happened. How did it get there? Because if you can see, because here's the thing, if you can figure this out with World War I, pre-World War II, and then World War II, if you can figure that out, it'll make what's going on right now in the United States, in Russia, in China, in North Korea, it'll make all that stuff start making a whole lot more sense, because you'll be able to see through it. You'll be like, that looks just like, yeah. Like, no, they did that 100 years ago. That looks kind of, I know what happened 100 years ago. I mean, not to say it's all the same, but it's, I don't know. It's like this, it's like the playbook. You almost can see the playbook. So, all right, that's it. All right, let me finish the rest of the stuff I got to do today. All right, y'all.